I came here to this country with a lot of hope and a lot of sensitivity, because after living the war and leaving your hometown, it's like you're full of passion and full of sadness in some kind. So it took me some time to have the stability here in European country, in France, and be working also with others and getting also experience. And then I decided that it's the time to start my own brand.
This is the One Day Podcast. My name is Omar Almajali, and each week I am bringing you some of the most accomplished and inspiring minds in the Middle East and the world to give you a glimpse of their professional life and pull back the curtain a bit on the real and untold story of their success, to inspire you and help you learn from those who have walked the walk so you could move one day closer to your own goals. Hope you enjoy this episode. So welcome to another episode of the One Day Podcast. Today we're going to be sharing an extremely inspiring story of a young Syrian refugee who fled his country, Syria, a few years ago because of the war, and within a short period of time has built a global brand and a name for himself in a place none other than France, one of the major fashion hubs in the world. And Daniel, the founder and the creative director of the luxury footwear brand, Daniel Essa, has been making waves globally for the extremely sophisticated, minimalistic, and customizable designs. And this luxury footwear brand quickly became a fan favorite amongst Hollywood stars and fashion elites across the world. And Daniel is with us today to share all about this transformational journey that he's been on and all the hard decisions that he had to make along the way to fight for a passion and for a dream of his. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you for having me here with you today. It's a pleasure to be sharing and answering to all those questions.
Amazing, man. Honestly, it's always very, very inspiring to hear stories of people from our region making big names for themselves, especially stories of people who had the odds against them, arguably. So congrats on everything you were able to build so far.
Thank you so much, my dear.
Cheers, man. So Daniel, did you ever see yourself honestly sitting where you are? Did you ever think to yourself that one day I would be right here owning a luxury footwear brand after my own name?
Well, that was, to be honest, last week my mom called me. I was with her on the phone. And you know what she said? She said, "You're living your dream." And she told me, we was on the phone for like 40 minutes, and she said, for like 10, 15 minutes. You know, mothers, they like to talk and talk and talk. And she said, "I remember when you were a kid, you were always had this as a dream. And you always told me that you want to become like a famous fashion designer and to create a brand and to be, you know, and to be in Paris and to start this and this." And she said that we all looked at you and like, yeah, we know that you have a dream. But she said, "Today I see you, the man who you became today. And I still have in mind that kid who had this as a dream, and you're living your dream." Thanks to her, it's like a reminder, because sometimes when you're busy working and project after project, you don't stop and look back. So her goal, last week when I looked back and when she was with me on the phone, she made me so happy and I felt so happy. So that is exactly what you're saying today.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes we need to just stop and recognize how far we've come. And that's something I feel that's human nature not to.
Yeah, because we live in a world that عصر السرعة, if we can say that. And it's everything around us is just pushing us to do more. Everyone wants more. Social media wants more. People around you, people who you work with in the office, outside the office, friends, everyone wants more from you. So it's and they don't give you time for yourself. You're giving, in the end of the day, you're giving time for people more than the time that you're giving for yourself. And I think you too, or everyone who's watching us today, like that, we became, بهذا العصر, at this age, we're giving others more than we're giving ourselves.
I agree.
And I think it's very important to give ourselves time and attention, the same thing at the same level that we give others. We need to treat ourselves the same.
I agree. So Daniel, I'm going to go back and forth between timelines just to mix it up a bit. But I really, really want to start with the decision for you to move from Syria. I really want you to talk to me about this decision and walk me through that thought process, because I'm sure it was not an easy decision. I'm sure that there was a certain threshold that you crossed and you're like, listen, I got to move on because so much has happened. It's time for me to let this home go.
Exactly. To let it go, actually. To let it go, it's very complicated. To let it go, I mean to let go work, office, what you have built, what you have achieved in your hometown, and making the decision to turn your back to everything and just move on and go somewhere else. And you don't know actually where are you going or if it's going to work or not. So what happened, to make the story short and to give you just the headlines, when the situation started to become really dangerous in Syria, and we thought, and I see that the worst is coming, and it's coming. We lived the war, and I was in Syria, and I lived the war. I've seen a lot of horrible things happen, and of course, it's war. It's whenever there is a war, it's like the worst thing that I ever see in life, and I see that the situation is becoming worse by time, every day, actually. So when I made my decision that I have to go and I have to leave the country was complicated, because I finished studying in 2010 in ESMOD. ESMOD is the French University of Fashion Design, and I finished with an honor degree. And before I studied fashion, I studied business and economy in the University of Damascus. And after graduation from the fashion school, I started my own TV show. So I had 2 TV shows in Syria about fashion and lifestyle. I had my own my office and as a fashion designer. And at the same time, I was a professor. I was teaching at the Arab International European University in the fashion design department. So I was doing all this by the age of 23 years old, and it's in our countries. It's a young age to be doing all that, because I started working at a very early age. I have worked so hard because I believed in the country where I lived, and I wanted to do something and to start something in Syria. But unfortunately, when the war happened, and then I found that all the efforts and the time and the energy that I was giving every day and night to my project that I was planning to do in my hometown, everything disappeared with the war, and everything got destroyed. So when I made my decision to travel and to move I was lucky because I had the chance to go to Spain, for 1 year before coming to France. And then to France, I came here and I applied here for the asylum, which is something a lot of people, they consider as like the word refugee is for them, it's something like bad. I don't know why they're connecting this and what's wrong with this word. And honestly, like for those people who think that this is like a shame or something, like what's wrong with this word? Like refugee have like since the like hundreds and thousands of years ago, there is refugee. Whenever there was a war, there is a refugees.
Of course.
It's not something that happened now in the year 2000. No, it's something before you were even born. Like for those people who are shaming and speaking about refugees, like this is like thousands of years old. Every time, like when the war happened here in Europe, like Italians were refugees in France and Belgium. Germans were refugees somewhere else. America, like. So this is what happens. But today, with the social media, and unfortunately living in a place where the media are focusing on the first place, on the negative things. So whenever something bad happens by a refugee or someone who have, there are good and bad people everywhere. Today, in the country where you're living, in the country where I am living, in any place in any place in this universe, there is good people and bad people. And I mean people who are better also than others. So we're not like, not everyone are like your fingers. Like like people are different. So whenever something happened, and maybe with the media, they were focusing on some negative things, and unfortunately the image of refugees, it wasn't good enough. But I mean, here being in France, and the focus of the media, they're really focused on the success stories of people who arrived to Europe and they have built something. We came here to these countries with a lot of ideas, a high level of education, manners, and just we brought the best from our hometown to get the best in the European countries to make something new and something different.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And I actually was going to touch on this whole refugee theme at some point. But I'm glad that you painted this picture, Daniel, because honestly, as you said, wars and refugees, they've been going on for so long that to some extent it's been normalized. But and yes, you hear about these stories, but and we feel bad for them, but we do not really understand the extent of how hard it is for someone to leave their home, to leave the place that they nurtured memories in, their friends, their family, their cousins, their professional life, and everything they've built for themselves overnight, just like that. To make a decision is not easy. It really is not. So I'm glad that you were able to give us just a bit of context into that decision that you make. Okay, so you moved to France eventually after Spain, as you had just mentioned, and you're literally thrown into one of the biggest fashion countries of the world, surrounded by wolves around you. There's a lot of competition. What were you?
Yes. That is 100% true. Yeah.
What were you thinking when you decided to start your own, shoe line or footwear brand? Because it's such a bold move, especially coming from someone who is a refugee, who has his odds against him. You're a whole new environment, new ecosystem, new language. What was going on?
I mean, look, if Christian Louboutin have done it, then I can do it. If Saint Laurent have done it, I can do it. If Christian Dior have done it, I can do it.
Great mentality.
And that's it. So they were exactly people like I am, talented designers. We were both born from parents. We were both raised, and so no matter what, if you're in Europe or other part of the countries, we're all equal. Actually, borders, when we speak about talent and creativity, borders disappears, my dear, and there is no borders; they vanish. And I mean, I came here to this country with a lot of hope. And things that and a lot of sensitivity, because after living the war and leaving your hometown, it's like you're full of passion and full of sadness in some kind. So it took me some time to have the stability here in European country, in France, and be working also with others and getting also experience. And then I decided that it's the time to start my own brand. And I remember I was in Paris. The decision was already in my mind. I wasn't very sure, because I had the opportunity to work with a very, very, very big fashion house, French fashion house. But I have to make a decision. Either I have to sign this contract and I start working with this big French fashion house, or I have to start my own collection and I have to start suffering. So I was lucky during Fashion Week that I have someone who's really important in the fashion industry. He's like Anna Wintour, and his name is Ken Downing. He's the fashion director. He's a very, very famous fashion director. And I had also some other people who were in Paris, and I told them, can we please have dinner tonight? I really want to have your opinion about something. And I got my sketches, I had like my papers and my project. It was everything just on paper, and sketching paper.
That's how things start.
Yes, and I showed them and I told them, listen, I just want you to be honest. I don't want you to be nice or to pretend or to tell me something that it's not true. So please say it. Tell me, because I have the chance to be working with these people, and I have these sketches and this project in my hand. Which one I should pick? And they encouraged me and they told me, listen, this is going to be a tough road. It's not an easy money, like the amount of money that you might get with this fashion house immediately. It might take time for you to work and believe in yourself. If you're really tough enough to be inside this world by yourself, just do it. And I've done it.
You took it as a challenge.
And I have done it. I took it, and I love challenges in life. I am not a person who like to live like on, I like taking risks. I like adventures. I like adventures even in real life, in mountains and sports activities in the mountains, and something really a little bit dangerous. So I think this kind of gives us the adrenaline rush, makes us feel alive. And I love challenging myself in the first place and challenging others.
And did you speak the French language? Because you are fluent in French. Did you learn? Do you have to teach it? Do you have to, learn it and teach it to yourself? Or how did
No. I mean, when I first arrived here to France, I knew just how to say good morning, bonjour, bonsoir.
Oh, wow, man. That's impressive.
and that's it. And now I speak fluently French
I
with
know.
almost no accent.
I've watched a few of your interviews in
With-
French, and you're super fluent, and you were able to just
yes.
catch that language, what, in a year, 2 years? How long did it take you?
And less than a year, because I remember after a year I was already speaking the language. Because I put it as a goal, and I told myself, living in France, working in English, it's not something that you can do. Either you speak the language because it's important. So when you speak people's language, you feel you break something, because
Of
you
course.
break certain borders, and they
Yeah.
feel very cozy with you. It's different. It's exactly like when someone, like I remember when I lived in Damascus, and we had a lot of friends. They come from Germany, Spain, France, US, and all of them, when they started learning Arabic and they started speaking with us, but even with this accent, and like they don't know how to speak well. But I mean, I found it so sweet and
You
so
appreciate
kind of
them. You
them making
appreciate them for the effort. Yes.
appreciate the effort and what they're doing. So I mean, that's why I was studying almost every day, 7 to 8 hours French.
So amazing. So your message essentially is, regardless of your circumstance, don't take it as an excuse. Every human has potential in them, right? We just have to tap into that. Essentially, that's what you're saying. Like, what do you say to any aspiring fashion designer out there who's afraid to take that leap to start their own fashion venture, or any entrepreneur for that matter who has a great idea, but they are fearing that risk?
Look, I'm going to be very honest. Being a fashion designer, if you're just a fashion designer, you have to work with others. If you are a fashion designer, you have the talent and you can be a businessman, you can be a manager, you can be a CEO, then you start your own brand. I don't want to sound rude, but in this industry, if you are just fashion designer, then you need someone to be managing the company. You need this, you need this, you need that. You need millions for someone to start up a business, really. And I mean, if you have that's it, and at least you can own your own business. But if you're a designer and you know just how to design, and then you need to find someone, then you need to find a partner that he will put this and that and that and that and that, and then in the end you will end up with a small percentage. And so I mean, take your time. Nothing is impossible. Impossible doesn't exist. Like this word doesn't exist. Actually, we don't need to mention this word. Everything is possible. Everything. But some things take time. Some things take a lot of time. Some things happens immediately, and that's it. This is the difference. But in between projects. So I mean, when I wanted to start the project, and I had some people, and they were telling me like, no, you cannot. It's like starting a brand is something really big, and it's more complicated than you will ever imagine, and we would recommend that you start working with others, with other big companies, because it's going to be easier for you. And yeah, that's true. That's true. I could have been also happy, if I'm working with a big fashion house and managing things and doing a great job also with fashion houses is good. But I mean, you have to set up a goal. If you want to do things by your own, then you have a very, 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 very tough road to take. Honestly, I remember when my first year, I thought it's the most complicated and it was tiring, exhausting. I worked like every day, no weekends, no nothing. And I thought that it's just the first year. Then the second year, it's more. And the third year, it's even more. So it's, I haven't reached yet. So it's time consuming. It's a lot of, so if you're ready and you can do that, just go on. But first of all, do your researches. Be unique. Don't do something that other people have done it, and because other people have been successful doing that design, it doesn't make you, if you're going to pick one of their ideas and make it yourself, that you're going to be as successful as they are. Well, if someone today wants to buy Gucci and he likes this style, he will go to Gucci and he will buy it. If someone to buy Balenciaga, him to go buy it. And my client, people today who goes to Daniel Essa and they buy Daniel Essa, they're totally different. They're different.
Yeah.
We're going to be speaking about this, I'm sure, later. But you need to find an identity. Identity, when you create a brand, it's like identity. You have your identity card with you to identify yourself. This is your brand. People will go to your website, and today our identity, when you walk in the streets and you have these, people will know that you're wearing Daniel Essa without a logo, without a name.
Yeah.
You know, so and this is an identity.
Yes.
That people can recognize things without even asking and then using and then speaking.
Yeah, it just exactly. You create a culture essentially. So your message to those fashion designers out there that talent is not sufficient. You need more than talent. You need to have strong business acumen. You need to understand the business of fashion, and talent doesn't get you there. You need to always partner up or with people who are smarter than you in that aspect, or do your research as you suggested. Well, let's talk about the value proposition of Daniel Essa. With everything that we're surrounded with today, you know, all these e-commerce websites, all these ads, we're bombarded left, right, and center. How do you position yourself in the market today? What's your mission, and how does that mission manifest in the design and in the identity?
To be honest with you, when I started the brand in 2017, and the designs, and I started in 2015 actually, because when I started looking for suppliers, manufacturing, and all of that, and of course it takes a lot of time to have everything done before the launching. So it took me almost 2 years of hard work before the launching. I wanted the sneaker to have a different form. I want it to be practical. I want people to put them on and take them off very easily without using laces, without losing time making the knot, without I thought about the needs of every one of my potential clients. At the same time, I do not believe in trends. I have never believed in trends. And I think trends, it's just a game that everyone else, they're using it. And they put a lot of ads, a lot of things. This is seasonal. Okay, so this shoe. So for example, we're not going to be mentioning other famous shoe brands that have created certain style. And today, if you see your friends wearing them, you will be like, ooh, or like, this is like 2 years ago, or this is like their last collection, or, you know, and I mean, they want it to be that way because they want just to be taking your money every season. And they want you to hate the same product that you bought and you love.
Crazy. That's so true. That
Exactly.
is so true, man.
So this is the game that I had like few conferences here with the United Fashion of Europe, and I have done this conference, and I was the one of the first that who dares, you know, that speaks this out loud in front of big buyers and department stores and people in the conference. And I told them, guys, like, let's just stop fooling people. I know, like, this is your concept and this is what you're doing. And so I remember, and all the designers, they were applauding and they were so happy, you know, because this is like the first designer who speaks this out loud
publicly about it.
Exactly. So they just want that in the end. It's they want to make more and more. Always they want more. Even if they achieve their goals, they want more. Even over the top, they want more. They never satisfied. وهذا اسمه الطمع.
Yes.
So it's exactly. So the main idea was having and giving the client something that needs for every day and something can personalize. And that's how the Trois et Moi came to life. The Trois et Moi is one of our best sellers. Is the full white. It exists on white with elastic, and you have this signature accessory. It looks like a lace, and you can personalize it. It's the most minimal shoe design that have ever been done in the shoe market, and it's the one that have the most signature. I mean, and that's why they appreciate that in the Draper's Footwear Award, and I was nominated to this to be the Footwear Designer of the Year. I mean, the finalist, six among a lot of important and big fashion brands.
That's awesome.
And they appreciated. Thank you, and they appreciated that this signature. That it's the most complicated things in the fashion industry is the simplicity.
Yeah.
When you buy an item or a pair or a shoes or clothes and you find too many things on top, trust me, this is the simplest way to hide bad finishing, and this is the easiest. But when you create a piece of like accessories or shoes very clean, so it's like you can see the finishing, the details and everything. There's nothing to hide, you know? It's exactly like when you have a wall and you have a lot of the wall is breaking, and the painting is like, so you put a lot of painting and a lot of things and
Just to
frames
hide the flaws. Yeah, yeah.
to hide the flaws. Exactly, happens the same thing in the industry. So when you see something really clean, trust me, this is the most complicated things to produce, because you can see the quality, you can see the finishing, you can
Yeah.
see the stitching. And we offered the client something that nobody else have offered back then, which is giving and adding your personal touch in the sneaker that we're offering.
To customize it. Well,
Absolutely.
I've got my Daniel Essa pairs. I don't know if you see them.
Oh, you got the XO. You got the XO.
So
Yeah.
this is by the way, I promise you, I did not buy those for the interview. I've had those for 2 years, I think, or a year and a half now. But this is just to show the audience, whoever's watching this on YouTube, on how cool, man, and how slick and truly minimalistic your designs are. That's a pretty cool pair that I've had for a year and 2 years and a half, and it looks brand new.
And you can have all the colors of the laces. You can have white, the gray. You have all the colors, so you can personalize it the way you want.
It's pretty cool. And by the way, speaking of the customization, I wanted to talk about the logo. The logo is a unicorn. What's the significance of that?
The unicorn, because it was it's a unicorn. This is here we can see it. And I remember I was reading something like those old theories, and I caught my eye I remember an article that they were saying that back in the days, يعني أساطير, it's something
like myths,
superstitious,
or urban legends, or whatever.
Yeah, and they were saying that a unicorn, it's when people have like a disease or they're really sick, and a unicorn appears in the jungle or appears to them, or they see a unicorn, so it kind of like healing, or you feel better, and you kind of like your sickness disappear. It's just something. But I remember the way the author
portrayed it,
wrote this. I think I think it's very nice and it's very sweet. And at the same time, I like horses, and I think horse it's a sign of like beauty, the ultimate beauty and power, and at the same time the silence and it's for me. I love that, so I created and I personalized the logo myself to have it the minimal version of a unicorn. And that's how it came. I didn't want it to have my name on the shoes. I didn't want to have my name, Daniel Essa, like everyone else. They put their brand name on it. I just want to have this.
It's a very nice logo. And also, one other thing that distinguishes Daniel Essa are these messages inside of the shoes. What was the point behind those? What was the idea behind it?
Every season has a message. I remember my first collection that I have launched, it has messages saying liberté. It's in French, of course. I chose the messages to be, which is freedom, love, kisses, certain words that I think it's a way to
universal.
send messages. Exactly. And this season, I chose 3 words for this product, the new product.
What are they?
By the way, this product called nous. Nous, it means us, we, in French. I mean, because it's all about us this year, about everyone.
Nice.
No matter where you come from, we need to be unified. Us, we. I think it's the word that all people need to be using, no matter where you come from, where you were born, skin color, all of these things does not matter and will never matter. And we will make it not matter, because for certain generations before it's matter for them, but for us, the new generation, we will change everything, and our kids and the future generation. So this product is, I chose the message here behind the tongue. It's written paix, amour et bonheur, which is paix, it means peace. Amour, it means love. Bonheur, it's happiness. And I mean, these 3 words are the 3 main words I think that I decided for this season they need to be behind every tongue.
That's great. That's a great signature thing that you're leaving on these messages, these positive messages. And no doubt that nous and us is the theme of this year, because if anything, because of COVID and everything that happened, we realized regardless of the border, your nationality, the human race was facing this disease essentially across the globe simultaneously at the same time. And it shows you how, we need to sometimes transcend beyond our nationalities, our skin color, which is, BS, to be honest. A question I always ask all my guests is about productivity. What are some of the tools or some of the habits or some of the systems or apps or anything that you use in your days or to organize your week, whatever it is? What is it that helps you get more focused or organized or, get something that gets you in the zone?
Well, I use my calendar. I do stick to my calendar. So or every appointments and everything is prepared in advance. No surprises. I like everything to be, scheduled in advance. Of course, sometimes we have to, we cannot say no for certain appointments and certain meetings, but I'm trying recently to give myself, the free time that I don't answer anyone. I don't answer phone calls. I do my workout. I have the gym is right across the street. So every day after the office, when we close, I take 1 hour and a half for myself at the gym. I don't answer phone calls or messages. And then I do once or twice yoga at home. I started yoga for the first time in January 2020, and really I wish I have started yoga a long time ago. Like how you feel from the inside and outside. It's very important,
Yeah.
and we should do yoga at least once a week. Yes, very important. At the same time, I go to the south of Italy every few months because I work in Italy as well, and I go there to the ateliers to check on the production. And I take a few days for me in a beautiful place in the south of Italy, in the heel of Italy,
nice.
in Puglia, something really old and traditional house, no internet, it's no microwave, it's like back to the roots. I remember when I was a kid and I used to go to my grandparents' house, and it's like before we have all these technologies and things. So for me, back, yes. And there are some, and then this place where I do go always, there is this great tree, and I sit underneath, and I take all the leather samples, sketches, I do my patterns with next to the olive trees, and it's really far. Like you need to drive maybe 30 minutes to see another human being. So me being alone and being maybe with a close people and just far away from all this noise in the city.
So enjoying the simple
stuff. Yes. And at the same time, the mountain. I love every year I should go do some activities. I love hiking. I love hiking. I love hiking. I like crafting as well. I love certain activities. A lot of people, they don't see that side of me. They think that, fashion. But no, when you see me in the mountains and fully equipped with doing this and that, this is something I really love.
Nice.
And not everyone knows this side of me.
So calendar, yoga, time for yourself, disconnect, simple things, take the time for yourself.
But by the way, speaking about the applications, if you can recommend something, that would be great, because I'm always looking for an application to help me organizing everything in one place.
I use, to be honest, my two biggest things right now are Microsoft Notes, which is like a note on the cloud. I've got all my notes on there, and it's organized by pages and by colors and stuff. And the other thing that I've also been using for my personal projects is Trello. Trello is by I forgot who's the actual software developer of Trello, but you can create your own boards, and every board would have different tasks in them, and these tasks you can go in them and you can assign them to people.
This is like a planner. This is Microsoft Planner. I think it has something similar. We create boards and lists and yes.
Yeah, so that's something that I personally, it's been helpful in organizing my weeks and stuff. So, Daniel, I feel like everything happens for a reason in our lives. And if we're conscious enough for what opportunities are provided to us, life rewards us. So my question to you is, do you feel like you would have been here where you are today if it wasn't for the war? As in, the war made you take that leap that otherwise might have taken you years to establish in France.
I mean, let's say it in another way, if you allow me.
Yes, please.
Every bad things happens in life, no matter how bad it is, there's always a positive, something positive we should take out of it.
I agree with that.
And the war, it's the worst thing that might ever happen to a nation, to a country, individuals. It's the worst thing that might ever happen really. And what the war, with its all the negative things, and I focused on the very, very few hope of something positive that we can take out of it. Like, you don't have other choice actually when you survive the war, and you don't have other choice. Either you go into depression and do nothing and just keep crying on what happened, what you have lost,
or you make something,
or you keep on moving.
Yeah.
So either, like, I mean, there's no choice. Like, of course, crying and being in depression, will never be even a choice, or no. So I had only one way in front of me, and is to keep moving, and no matter, don't look around you, because the situation, what I was going through was really complicated, because you tell yourself, oh, what can I do here? I don't speak the language. I cannot find the right job. People here, maybe they will have more opportunity than I do. But trust me, talent is an international language.
Yeah.
Talent
will be recognized anywhere.
So, just be the good person, be a good person, and just treat people the way that you want to be treated. And show them your true colors, and show them how your talent, and work hard. When you work hard work pays off. Nothing comes like that. Nobody, even big designers, big businessmen, nobody have achieved something like that because he was lucky. No, it's just hard work and consistency, and achieving certain level, and maintaining. This is success. Success is maintaining the same level, and not just arriving to this level and successful, and then no. Maintaining the same level of success is being successful.
I love that. I really do. I want to go back to this refugee theme that I told you I'm going to come back to. Does this refugee narrative of Daniel annoys you, or do you feel like it gets old after a time? I mean, I personally feel that honestly, this narrative should be worn as a badge of honor, because what you're doing right now is you're representing, you're inspirational, right? You're an inspirational figure to other refugees around the world who have lost hope, right? So you're giving them this opportunity to dream and to work on themselves. But do you feel like sometimes, do you ever feel like this narrative is overshadowing the work I'm doing, or where do you stand with that?
Every interview I have done interviews as well with Jazeera, Al Arabiya, Reuters, AFP, with big press agencies. And I was like repeating the same thing. So it's not about mentioning this, but sometimes when you do so many interviews and you have to repeat the same things over and over, and you said like, yeah. So sometimes it happens. Like, I have done an interview last week here on the French TV, and they didn't mention this. And I was like, ooh, for one time, it's like, okay, we're not going to speak about that. So, but of course, it doesn't bother me. Like, if we didn't speak, and if someone brought the subject, it's not going to be annoying me that when I came here to this country, there is a lot of celebrities, a lot of artists, singers, American singers, British singers, politicians. They were refugees when they arrived, and then of course you apply for like your papers, nationalities, but it's still a souvenir. It's still like, it's exactly when you were poor, or when you didn't have money and you worked in this and this and this. You never feel ashamed of those things, because those things have made you the person, have made you who you are. And this is what makes me stronger today, and what I am strong today. And when you mentioned that fashion industry, you have to be a wolf in the industry, because I am in one of the biggest capital of the world in the fashion, and there is a lot of competitors, and everyone wants to find his place. So I mean, you need to be strong. You need to be
yeah. Shifting gears a bit, I want to really talk about this very, very cool story. I know this is another story that you have repeated over and over again, but I think it's pretty cool how your shoe or the prototype of your shoe fell in the hands of a Hollywood celebrity before you even launch the product.
Yes.
And that celebrity is Whoopi Goldberg, right?
An Oscar winner, yes, Whoopi Goldberg. I was like a very fun story. I had only my samples. I was in Paris and then in Milan, and then the fashion director of Neiman Marcus, Ken Downing, he was in love with the samples, and he told me, "Whoa, like these shoes are really gonna be big." And he told me, okay, like I need to be wearing them in New York Fashion Week next season. And then I told him, like, I don't have any, so I like, if I'm gonna give you something, so it's gonna be the sample. So he took the sample and he was wearing and he was wearing the sample. He wore it first time in Milan, it was a very famous dinner that Donatella Versace made in her own place, and they were like only 100 people from the fashion industry. The most important 100 people in the fashion industry, A-list, gathered in one place, was the first time when someone when the first time when my shoes touched the floor of this, you touched the street and someone walking by. Exactly. So it was the first time my shoes were in public, and then he took them with him to New York and he wore them in New York Fashion Week, and he was front row, and Whoopi Goldberg, she was next to him. So she was making signs and like, what are those? Who are made these sneakers? Then he told her after the show. After the show, they spoke, and he told her, yeah, I'm a designer, I know, he's a friend of mine, and this is his contact. She asked for the contact, and then he gave us my email. And he told me, and then he texted me. Then I thought it's just because she liked them, and that's all. And then at night, I received an email from someone, and he introduced himself. He is her friend, and he said, I am here with Whoopi, and we would love to see your lookbook because she wants to place an order she loved your sneakers, and she thinks that they're really cool and different. And she is a sneaker addict. Like Whoopi Goldberg has, I think, one of the biggest collection of, yes. And then I told them, like, I didn't move into production, like I am still starting, and it might take me 5 or 4 months until I have them. And they said, no problem, we would love to wait. And she asked for 3 or 4 pairs. I don't know.
Nice. Guys, you need to go Google Whoopi Goldberg if you don't know her, because I'm pretty sure when you see her, you're going to recognize her. Right now, she's a co-host of the View talk show, I think. She's big. She's huge.
Yes,
do you believe that this happened, that this was destiny, or do you believe in luck? Do you believe?
I mean, for me, when this happened, I think that it was a sign that I am on the right way, because I've always asked for a sign that, am I doing the right thing? Is this really what I should be doing? And then I think it's just sometimes, you get these signs and you should listen to those small things that happens in our life, because this is the answer of a lot of questions that we have in mind.
You're speaking my language. I'm a huge believer in signs, and I'm a mystic like that. Some of my friends think I'm crazy, but I do believe in signs, and I do believe sometimes you're given these messages, but if you're quiet enough in your mind, you'll be able to listen to them. One thing I want to touch on maybe before we kind of wrap up our conversation, so becoming a fashion designer or entering that space as a boy in our region, isn't the most conventional thing ever, right? It's something even in the past would have, people would look down on it because they think that the fashion world is a female dominant world. Did you ever feel guilty, or did you ever feel ashamed that, those were your interests as a kid? And how were you able to process that and push against that?
You're right. It wasn't easy at all. And to start with, I will be very honest with you. My family were against me being in the fashion industry, because my grandfather, he was very strict. He was, he was a man with he has a very strong character, and like you cannot argue with him. Like when he says something, this is the thing, and no. So I remember and I love my grandfather. And the thing is that my grandfather, he's my role model. Like he was my Google before Google even exists. He was my Facebook before Facebook exists. He was everything to me because he was my window to the entire world because of how many books he have read. Like his library you would never imagine the amount of books that he reads every week and every month, all the languages, English, French, Russian, Arabic. It's a he was a real role model to me. And yes, موسوعة. And
encyclopedia.
I've always admired him. And he, in his part, like as a hobby, he like to make he paints. He's an artist, and he بينحت على الخشب. He does like these unique furniture. It's just for himself, وبينحت, and he does things like he's a real artist. And he wasn't showing this to anyone. It was something for himself. He has his own, like a small, unique room outside the house. It's for him only, and he does all his things.
You might have gotten those jeans from him.
Yeah, and he was against me studying fashion. So because he knew how difficult it is in our community, in our in the Arab world, it's still difficult, and they consider certain things it's for female, it's not a job that a man could do. And I mean, he was, no, you would never, you have never to do this. And he even told my parents, like, no, this is things like he would know he's not going to be living from this. He needs to be studying, something else. So I mean, it was challenging to convince everyone that this is what I wanted in love, and I wanted to be a fashion designer. And when I was forced to study business and economy, my university was next to the art university, and I feeling like
your eyes are out there,
broken every time. Like tear in my eyes, and I see everyone with with the brushes and paintings and things and sculpture, and their clothes are dirty because of artists when they do
they're
this
messy
work. And I was like, I don't want to be there. I didn't feel I didn't belong there. But to be honest, studying business and economy and being forced to be studying business and economy for those few years helped me today to be managing this business from A to Z. And
helped you think about this business from a holistic perspective. Listen, I'm really... Well, that has happened so many times in your life. I think this is a very loud and clear message to the theme of what's been going on in your journey. Listen, I'm glad we're talking about this because we need to be talking about topics like these. I feel like gender roles and expectations, especially in our region, for male and female, is changing and is shifting drastically. We're seeing more females entering professional universes that used to be dominated by men, and the other way around. I even interviewed Raha Muharrak for one of my episodes. She's the youngest Arab Saudi female to climb Mount Everest and the 7 peaks of the world. And, incredible. And she was telling me how when she was a girl, she found it hard to convince people that mountaineering or going, to that adventure space was something for boys, wasn't something for girls. But then she used that as a fuel, and that became her mission to inspire girls to go after their dreams, regardless of how society categorizes that dream.
I mean, when I was a kid, and my grandmother, she's the one who taught me how this haute couture and how to sew, in the old sewing machines. Singer. Here, I can show you in my office. I still have one here. Look. You remember? It's a part of the...
Yes, this is heritage.
You have the table, the big table that comes with it. So, I mean, when I used to do this with my grandmother, and everyone else was so mad and angry, and my grandfather. So that was my secret between me and her. So when everyone leave the house to do something, when I am with her alone,
you would do it.
She opens, عندها هيك قطعة قماش بقجي بنسميها نحن. She opens it up, and you have all the fabrics and the things that I was doing. So when I visit her, we continue what we have done last week,
Nice.
And then we hide it, and she hides it in the clothes. Yes. So imagine, she was, حبيبتي, she's the one, I would never forget what my grandmother. Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
يعني it's and my grandmother, and everyone, and you're right. Like in the Arab world, everyone like, yeah, you're a man, you need to be doing this, you cannot do that. You're a girl, you should do that, you should not do this. Like, just leave us alone. You are not. No one is allowed today to tell me what or what not to do. There is the right, what's right and what's wrong. We don't do bad things. We do good things. This is the only thing. When someone is going to tell me what to do, if I am doing something bad, if I'm hurting someone, I allow you to tell me that, no, you're doing a bad thing. You have to do this. You have to help that. You have not to do, but you don't tell me like choices that it's my personal freedom.
I think these things are changing and they're evolving, and these stereotypes and these buckets of what one should and shouldn't do, they're starting to break. This mold is starting to break, and this new generation isn't about that anymore. It's all about really being aligned with what you want, being aligned with your own passions and interests, and going for it regardless of what society has decided is the right path. I mean, society is made up of humans who are no better than me and you. So who defines right and wrong?
I mean, let them care about, like, stop polluting the planet and the pollution, and stop throwing plastics in the ocean, stop driving cars and changing cars and wasting and throwing the garbage in the street, stop shaming your neighbors, and like, and I mean, let's just start with that before telling other people what to do or what not to do. Everyone should like look at his own self, and to do something good to the planet first, maybe, because we all live in this planet. Some people, they forget, and for me, systemic, like my brand and the planet is something very important, because it's exactly like now you're in my place and you find a lot of dirt and I throw this and this. No, because I live in this place, so I have to keep it clean. And we all live in the planet, we need to keep it clean. We don't have a choice. Today, being sustainable and caring about the planet and the global warming, it's no longer a joke. You have to. It's not about a choice. You can or you cannot be sustainable if you own a fashion label or you work in no matter what industry you're working in. And from your personal self, like throwing your garbage and mixing things together, like just
like personal micro actions.
not using straws, plastic straws, and certain things like that. There is a lot of things are more important, trust me, in life than focusing on other people if they're wearing this and that and working in this domain or other domain.
I'm glad you touched on sustainability, because I was going to ask you about it, and the fact that how you, as a young brand, you were so adamant about being sustainable and having a positive impact on the planet, knowing that using sustainable means of production could hurt your profits, but nonetheless you decided from the start that I'm going to be an ethical business. And I hope every fashion designer or business out there learns from you and from the message that you just shared.
This is a very long subject, but I'm going to give you some headlines about it. We work with almost 15 suppliers. And to have a supply chain that is sustainable, we're trying, for example, the elastics that we use in making the shoes, because the shoes, they don't have any laces. It's based on the system with elastics. So we're using elastics that is recycled. And of course, it's a very, very high quality. So when we say recycled elastics, we don't say that something low quality. It's a very high quality. So this is number one. Number two, the outsoles. We're using something that is durable. I don't give someone an outsole that will be aging really fast and cracking, and then you have to throw it away. So when you buy a sneaker, it needs to be aging gracefully, and it needs to, by time you still can wear it, and the leather doesn't need to crack. The white outsoles, they're very easy to clean, and they can get black, like white, really fast when you clean them. If they got dirty, they're very easy to clean. The leather as well. So the packaging inside the shoebox, we have the dust bag as a form of a backpack from cotton, so you can wear it on your daily. If you want to buy something, go to the beach, and you can use it on your daily use. The shoebox itself, or luxury shoebox, it could be recycled because it's 100% from materials that we don't use plastic. We have and the leather is certified as well. Everything is more expensive, of course, and it's so hard to find all of these materials I told you, because it's like a chain, and to synchronize all of them together and to select the ones that they really have a high engagement. Like with our suppliers that we buy the leather, he plant every season thousands and hundreds of thousands of trees. So it's really nice. So this is the kind of things that me as a designer, I'm going for these suppliers, and because of the suppliers, they're really showing their care. They do care about the planet, and I care about the planet. So we're trying all of us together, just gather all of us together, and we create a supply chain that we support each other. I know that the profit will be less. I'm not gonna lie about that, but we're trying to take this from our profit, but we let the resellers, they make their profit correctly the way they like it, and us as a brand, we take this from our side.
I hope people hear your message loud and clear, because it all starts with the micro action. As a business, if you're asking this of the supplier, and a lot of businesses start asking this from the supply chain is going to have to change. And you've got this network effect of people. And it all starts with these small changes. As a business, with yourself, you can create that impact. You can really.
Trust me, we made them change.
Exactly, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Because when we go to the trade shows where the suppliers are, and my first question when I step into their booth and their stand, and I tell them, what is your social responsibility? What are you doing? Could you please show me a paper, a printed paper or something on your website that I can check? And me and other brands that asking this from the suppliers next season. When I went to Italy next season to search for raw materials, I was surprised that even suppliers that they didn't have any engagement before, the amount of effort that they have done this season to keep their clients.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Exactly. So you should not, and young designers, they should not underestimate the power that they have on the industry and the impact.
Yeah.
So yes, we need to start asking for
and
that.
Consumers need to be aware, because when consumer and the market is demanding it, also the businesses and the fashion designers, they start, catering to that. We're coming to the end of the conversation, and I typically like to end the episodes with 3 rapid fire questions. I'm just going to ask you 3 very quick questions. The whole point is for you not to overthink it. Just, answer from the heart, whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
And let's see. Are you ready?
I am.
Question number 1. What piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Be patient.
Be patient. Nice. What tip or hack would you give anyone out there who is trying to start a project, or who has a dream, or they have a goal, but they're not able to do it? What is that one tip or hack that you can give them to get on it? Sourcing,
researching, and taking time preparing before launching.
So preparation before launch. Nice. Yes. What is it that Daniel wishes to accomplish one day? And you can start the sentence with one day I would like to, or one day I hope I could, or one day.
One day I will be the Christian Louboutin of this generation, or
hopefully,
because I love him so much, and one day it will be the same. We're taking the same steps, we're making the same effort, and yes, and hopefully one day. I mean, when I mentioned that, it's to have the same success, and he had an enormous success. And if I mentioned that, it's just because for me, I admire the success and the talent and the reference. And today he's everywhere. His stores are everywhere, and people appreciate his work. And so, yeah.
Inshallah, man. There's nothing that's going to stop you. You've got the right mindset. It's very, very obvious. Daniel, thank you so much, man, for your time and the inspiration you brought in today, and the story that you have to share with the world. I'm sure someone, out there is inspired by everything and the journey that you've been on. Where can people follow you or follow the work that you're doing with Daniel Essa?
They can follow us on Instagram at Daniel Essa. Essa, it's like E-S-S-A, Daniel Essa, in one word.
Yes.
And on all the social media platforms, basically the same thing. Or they can visit us also to follow up on our news, and we share everything on our website, danielessa.com.
Great stuff.
And if they're in Dubai, they can go to Level Shoes and they can check the collection there in Dubai.
That's where I got mine. hope you enjoyed this episode and that you were able to pick up a thing or two that could help you in business or life. If you would like to hear more conversations like these and you're not yet a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe through your preferred podcast platform. And follow us on Instagram at oneday.thepodcast. And you could reach me on my personal Instagram account at Omar Almajali. And last but not least, if you prefer to watch the full episode on video, then you can do so on our YouTube channel, One Day the Podcast. Till next time.